Today we are doing an underpainting for a landscape. I'm starting with the colors Burnt Umber, Payne's Gray, and Titanium White, and these are acrylic colors. And I'm starting with the sky, and then I will be working up towards the mountains, and I'm using just a flat brush to quickly put in the basic shapes. An underpainting, the purpose of it basically is to get in your values. You may do several different types of underpaintings. Today I'm doing a monochromatic one using the Burnt Umber, more of a brownish type of underpainting, which is great for landscapes and portraits. Currently I'm going to be moving this picture a little bit so that I can get into the sky area a little bit more, but right now I'm just defining the shapes that I see. I'm working very loosely and I'm mostly concerned with putting in my values. I'm working on the sky right now, and it's a mid value, so I'm starting with kind of a lighter type of brown, and I will be darkening it up as I go along. You really want to make sure that the sky is very airy and loose, and I'm just looking at my reference photo as I work. I'm adding some of the titanium white to put in the clouds, and the clouds are pretty airy, so I'm just kind of dabbing them on and keeping it really light, and I'm looking for shapes within the clouds and where the sky is kind of peeking through. And as I'm working through this painting, I'm just lightening and darkening things up. The underpainting serves as a basic blueprint almost for your final painting. It gives you a place to look for values, and when you put your final colors on top, that values actually show through a little bit. So you pretty much work out all of the kinks in the underpainting in terms of value, and value is the most important thing with painting or drawing, in the fact that value gives your objects three-dimensional look to it, and that's one of the most important things for a painting or a drawing. So I'm just continuing with the sky, adding more of a darker color. The sky's a little bit darker over here. And I am going to be adding a little bit more of the whites to the clouds in a bit as well. This picture's in my way right now, so I'm going to probably be moving that resource, the photograph, in a little bit, but just trying to get everything into the sky to give it the values that I see. With an underpainting, you want to work very quickly. I'm just putting in the basic values. This is not the final product by any means. It's just a way to get started with a painting, and I recommend underpaintings for every type of painting that you do. There are many different types of underpaintings. There's a monochromatic one that I'm doing. There's the complementary color one where you do your underpainting in the complementary colors. For example, the complementary color of blue is orange, the complementary color of red is green, and the complementary color of yellow is violet. I'm adding a little Payne's Gray to the sky now. It appears to be kind of a blue, but really Payne's Gray is a wonderful substitute for black. It's got a mixtures of blue and red in it, so it gives your shadows more of a cool color to it. It's not just flat as black is. Now I am putting in a little bit more of the fluffy clouds and adding some more values. Like I said before, I'm looking for shapes within the clouds to define them. And in any type of painting or drawing, you want to look for those basic shapes. You don't want to look for specific things such as, I'm drawing this mountain. You want to look at the shape of the mountain or the relationship to the objects nearby. Right now I'm actually putting in a lot of more of the Payne's Gray and Burnt Umber together. It's because the mountain that's closest to me is darker. That is just part of the rules of atmospheric perspective. Whatever is closest to you is going to be darker, and whatever is furthest away from you is going to be lighter. So the mountain that is further away from me will be lighter. So right now I'm just putting in the values of the mountains, and I'm just using, like I said before, Payne's Gray and Burnt Umber. I'm putting in the value of this kind of grassy hill, and it's a lot lighter. The light is hitting it. It is a lighter color in itself, so I'm just using a little bit of water to mix the colors to make it lighter, because acrylic paint does have a wonderful watercolor-like quality in which you add water to it and it becomes lighter. Now I'm working on the furthest away mountain, and it is predominantly lighter than the mountain that was closest to us. Like I said before, the further something is away from you, the lighter it is, and the closer something is, the darker and more defined it is. And I'm just using extra paint that's nearby and just kind of spreading it around because it kind of saves some paint. And I'm darkening my shadows within the mountains because there are some really nice shadows in there. And I want to make sure that I'm getting my values correct for this underpainting. Now I'm starting in the grassy area. This is called the foreground. And I'm just adding the burnt umber with some titanium white and just lightening wherever I see the light reflected on the land, and wherever I see the darkness or the shadowed area is where I will be putting in more burnt umber and Payne's gray. You can use any type of color for doing an underpainting. I'm just choosing to use these colors. Traditionally, the old masters used the burnt umber or the raw sienna to give it a more naturalistic type of underpainting. You can do any type of colors that you want to do personally. As I'm doing the grasses, I am using the paintbrush in the direction that the grass is growing. I'm kind of, working around the painting, going in the same motion that I see things going. So the grass is going up and down, I'm making my brush strokes go up and down. The mountains were kind of going at a diagonal, I was making my brush strokes go at a diagonal. I am working on the overall texture as well as the value for this underpainting. And like I said before, this underpainting is just a basic map for you. It's a guide. It's not to be perfected. If you want to make it perfect, you can. But the goal of the underpainting is just to put the basic values down so you have a guide when you start your actual painting with the local colors. And I'm just going back in here with the darks. I'm just fine-tuning it. One of the important things that you can do when you're working on a painting or drawing is work around the artwork. You don't just want to stay in one certain area. You might overwork a certain area and it might not look right with the rest of the painting or drawing. So it is important to kind of work your way around the artwork. And right now I'm just finalizing things, putting in the correct values, making sure that everything is pretty much in line. I'm working on a valley right in here that I want to define a little bit more. And an underpainting really shouldn't take that much time. This isn't taking that much time. You want to put your focus mostly on the final paintings. Working back into the sky, making sure that the clouds are pretty much defined, looking for any shapes, darkening my values to make sure that they are correct. A couple clouds that I had forgotten, I'm adding those with some really thick white paint. The clouds are going to be staying very light so I can keep the paint pretty thick. And I am adding a little texture as I go along in the mountains and in the grass. Just a couple more highlights here that I see. I'm adding those in. And this brush that I'm using is a medium flat brush. It works really well to start a painting with. A lot of times I see people start their paintings with very teeny tiny brushes. It gives them a lot of control, but you really want to have a lot of expression and emotion in your artworks, especially landscapes and portraits, and it really does allow you to put down colors down quickly. And that's one of the things that is important to starting your painting, is getting things down quickly and then fine-tuning them as you go along. So you want to start out broad and then fine-tune things as you go along. My own style is showing through in this underpainting. I'm a very loose expressionist type of painter. Whichever is your own style will come through in the underpainting as well. Well, I'm finished with this underpainting. Thank you so much for watching. Please stop back to watch the second installment of this painting series.